It was the smallest room in the house, barely large enough for a bed, a desk, and a single narrow window that looked out onto the overgrown garden. But it was the one that made Claire most uneasy. The rest of the house had been charming in a forgotten sort of way. Creaky floors, faded wallpaper, a fireplace that still smelled faintly of ash and pine. But the small upstairs room at the end of the hallway felt wrong. The air inside it was always colder than the rest of the house, heavy with the scent of old wood and something faintly metallic, like dried blood. When Claire first stepped inside, she felt the strange sensation that someone had just left, that the air was still disturbed by another presence, one that wasn't quite gone. She brushed it off. The cottage had been empty for decades. She told herself she was imagining things. She placed her writing desk near the window, determined to turn it into her study. But from the first night, the room resisted her. Her pens went missing. Her chair shifted slightly when she wasn't looking. And every time she turned the lamp off, she could hear faint breathing just behind her shoulder. Once, she thought she saw a movement reflected in the glass of the window, a shadow passing behind her, but when she spun around, she was alone. Still, she stayed. She told herself it was just nerves, an old house playing tricks. But then she found the writing carved into the underside of the desk, hidden deep in the wood. For words, scratched over and over again in jagged handwriting. It remembers who enters. After that, sleep became impossible. Every night, she dreamed of the same room but different. In her dreams, the wallpaper was peeling, the air thick with dust, and there was always someone sitting on the bed with their back to her, whispering words she could never quite hear. When she woke, her skin was cold, and her breath fogged in the air. The room seemed to hold the chill of her dreams. Then came the night she found the photograph. It was tucked behind a loose floorboard, yellowed and brittle. 5 people stood in the picture, 2 men, 2 women, and a small child posing stiffly in that same room, her room. Their faces were strangely blurred, but the child's eyes were sharp, too sharp, staring directly at her. On the back, written in the same jagged hand as the desk carving, were the words, "They forgot me, but I didn't forget them." Claire felt the walls closing in. The room was no longer just cold, it was listening. She could feel it watching her, its silence heavy and expectant. The wallpaper began to bubble in one corner, as if something beneath it was trying to breathe. The floor creaked even when she stood still. One night, desperate to escape, she decided to sleep in the living room downstairs. She carried her blanket, locked the door to the small room, and lay down on the couch. But sometime after midnight, she woke to a sound that made her blood turn to ice, the faint, unmistakable creak of her desk chair upstairs. Back and forth, back and forth. She held her breath, frozen. Then, from the ceiling above her, came a slow, deliberate thump. Footsteps. Someone was walking across the floor. She wanted to run, but her legs refused to move. The steps came closer, 1, 2, and stopped right above where she lay. Silence. Then a whisper drifted through the old vents, low and childlike, "You shouldn't have left me." By morning, she convinced herself it had been a dream. But when she went upstairs, the door to the room she'd locked was wide open. The chair was turned toward the bed, and on the desk, written in dust that hadn't been there before, were 5 new words. "Now it remembers you too." She left that day, abandoning the house with the door still open behind her. But the locals say the room didn't stay empty for long. They say the curtains still move though the window's been nailed shut. And sometimes, when the wind blows just right, you can hear faint scratching on the walls, like someone carving words into the wood from the inside. No one knows what the room remembers now, only that it never forgets the ones who entered, and the ones who tried to leave.